Thank you.
Mark, you've talked in recent days just about kind of being consistent defensively. You're here in this stretch of 8 games and 13 nights, 7 different cities. What'd you make of the way that your team stood up and defended tonight?
Very impressive. That was our toughest stretch of the season. That's as tough of a stretch as we've had from a travel and condensed games. It's as tough of a stretch as we've had in a couple of years. And so for us to amp it up like that from an effort standpoint on the defensive end tonight was impressive, all the way top to bottom. Really, really good efforts.
With as many stoppages and timeouts and reviews and everything, it was almost like a football game for a little bit, like line it up and play. What'd you like best about just kind of the poise and composure to play a really long game tonight?
Yeah, I thought same thing. I thought the defense was pretty consistent throughout. We had a couple little leaks here and there, but other than that, really good. And top to bottom, I thought Dort specifically was unbelievable tonight on that end of the floor. He really set a tone for us. But Isaiah Joe, is known for his shooting, but I thought his defense tonight was outstanding. I thought Jay, Will, and Hart, patrolled the paint really well, created a crowd for their main guys. And so top to bottom, we just got a great defensive effort after a stretch where our defense just wasn't, in character.
You mentioned the stretch where the defense wasn't in character. Did you feel like you just game to game in these past 5 to 6 were getting the best shot from some of these teams?
I thought, we looked at it. I mean, anytime we're giving up points like that, we're really going to understand that. And it was a little bit of everything. Some of it was shooting variance. I mean, these other teams were banging shots in kind of an uncharacteristic way in terms of what we would expect. But I didn't think our energy level and juice was quite to the level that it's been for much of the season, and I thought we returned to that tonight. And to do that, on the 8th game in 13 days, just speaks to the competitiveness of the team.
To get back to that level, do you think it took time post All-Star break to settle back in? Like, what do you think that was?
I think, like I said, I think a little bit of the shooting variance. I think if a couple of those teams miss more shots, it looks a little different optically. I don't know. I thought our ability to course correct that, tonight was on display. They didn't have a 30-point quarter, which is hard to do against this team. This is a very good offensive team.
I imagine the defense is a lot of it, but and you've mentioned in the past that run that tends to happen late is not like a kill switch or anything. What feels like the difference on those nights where you have that run late versus the nights where a team is maybe pushing you deeper into a game?
I don't think I understand. Totally rephrase that for me. I'm sorry.
Like what are the difference? What's the differences on the nights when you're pushing that run, that 20-0 run or whatever it might be late in the game versus when a team is pushing you deep into the fourth, going tit for tat?
Yeah, I thought we guarded them all night. I thought we did a really good job all night. It was a very consistent defensive effort. I thought we took them deep into the shot clock a number of times in the first half. They made some tough shots on some possessions. But I thought most of the night was kind of like on our terms. We got them away from what they want to do into secondary actions and secondary, shots. And that's what you want to do throughout the course. And if you do that enough, you can get strings of possessions where you stack some stops. And I thought that was the case tonight. But, we had that in the fourth. Obviously, we strung a bunch of stops together, and it happened a little bit in the third, too. But the way we defended, I thought, was consistent all night. I thought that was a 48-minute effort on defense. Very impressed and pleased with that.
Yeah, Jang only played like 7 minutes there in the second quarter, but that was a very impactful 7 minutes. You just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. Like I mentioned, after San Antonio, he gave us huge minutes in the fourth quarter of San Antonio. And, just his professionalism to keep himself ready when he's not in the rotation every night. Jay Will's professionalism to keep himself ready when his role's been fluid with Chet back. Isaiah Joe, I thought had an impactful, whatever he played, 15 minutes tonight. Those guys, when you're in a stretch like this and you take a couple injuries, you're going to need everybody. And for those guys to be able to just step in and for us not to drop off, K-Rich, same thing, is important for the team.
Anybody else?
All right, thanks.